government supposedly backing all of it.
They don't. They're fighting it.
No,
Four. Our provincials are behind it. Yeah. He should also have a Misa Mapula. Okay, let's see the Gemara Vayter. We are up to the highest of the Shemaims. We rushed through it yesterday, but this is the highest of the Shemaim. That's Aravos. So we're about 10 lines from the bottom of the base of base. We have a long daf today as well, so I'm going to try to move quickly. Aravos. Shaboy, in that highest Shemaim, is Tzedek, Mishpat, Utzedakah, Ginzei Chaim, Beginzei Shalom, so storehouses of life and of peace, begins a bracha and storehouses of bracha, the nishmasan shel tzadikim, and the neshamas of the tzadikim, veruchais u'neshamas she'asad lehibarais, neshamas that are going to be created. But we know Kadosh Baruch Hu created everything right away, but Maaseh Bereshis means the neshamas that are going to be born. Vital she'asad Kadosh Baruch Hu la'achas by Mason, and the dew that's going to Hashem's going to use by Tchisa Mason, which is not due. I think it's overdue. So Neshama Shel Tzadikim, I assume, are Neshama Shel Tzadikim after their lives, and the Neshama Shel Asad Libaris are the Neshamas before their lives. Okay, Tzedek u'Mishpat. How do you know that Tzedek u'Mishpat are in the Aravos? Yechsiv Tzedek u'Mishpat mechoin kisecha. Tzedek and Mishpat are the base of your kisei, and it doesn't say anything about Aravos, but we're soon going to see that the kisei of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is in Aravos. So if the base of his kisei are Tzedek and Mishpat, that means Tzedek and Mishpat are in his kisei. Tzedakah l'chsilv, the Yilbash Tzedakah is Shiryon. He wears Tzedakah like a shield. Shiryon is like a scaled armor, piece of clothing. Ginzei Chaim, storehouses of life. T'chsiv ki imcha mekar Chaim. Ginzei Shalom. T'chsiv vayikra loy Hashem Shalom. Begins a bracha. D'chsev yisa baracha me'es Hashem. So this is the rakia that the Rebbeinu Shalom is in. So this is what bracha is. Nishmasin shal tzadikim d'chsev v'hoisa nefesh adoni tzura b'tzura chayim es Hashem alekecha. Ruchais u'neshamais she'asad lehibarais d'chsev ki ruach milafana yatayif u'neshamais ani asisi. So these are in front of me, around me. V'tal she'asad HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahachiyus b'meisim d'chsev gesem nedavos tanif elakim nachadasa v'nila atakinanta. Sham, in that Arabis, in that area as well, are Oifanim, Usrafim, these are types of Malachim, V'chayis HaKodesh, Malachai HaShoreis, V'chisei HaKovoid, Melech Keil Chai, Ram Venisa, Shoichen Aleim. The word by Arabis, the Bach takes out. Shenemar, Soilu, cheer, L'roichev V'Arabis, for the one who rides in Arabis, V'kashamai, that's the Rebbeinu Shalom. Minalan the Ikri Shemayim. How do we know that Aravos is also considered Shemayim? Because we said it's one of the 7 Shemayims. So if you want Asi Rechiva, Yechsiv Hacha, Soilu La Roichev Aravos, Yechsiv Hasam Roichev Shemayim, Be'ezrecha, Ubegavasa Shchakim, that we learn on Central Stayer. V'choshech, V'anan V'arofel, and darkness, clouds. The Rafel, the fog, Makibin Isai surrounds him. Shenemar, this is the pasuk we had earlier, Yoshes Choshech, Sisroi, Sidivaisov, Kadosh Baruch Hu keeps a darkness, a cloud of darkness around him, morning, Sukasoi, Cheshkas Mayim. Oveshcha. In fact, the Gemara, Umi Ika, Chashucha Kamishmaya. So you're saying that a Kadosh Baruch Hu surrounds himself with darkness. Is there any darkness at all in around the Rebbeinu Shalom? Vaksiv Hugalei Amikta. The Rebbeinu Shalom uncovers those deep secrets, Umistartarta, and the hidden things. Yoda Ma Bechashoicha. He knows what's in the darkness. And light is rests with the Rebbeinu Shalom. So the Rebbeinu Shalom is Kulei Ar. So how can you say there's darkness there? Like Kasher. Ha bebate gavoi, ha bebate beroi. There's an outer chamber that has darkness in it, but there's an inner chamber that has no darkness in it. There's one other rakia besides the 7 that we were discussing that are lamayla meirasha achayis, that are above the heads of the chayis. Tichsiv udemus al roishi al demus al rosha achaya rakia ke'ein hakerech hanor, like some ice, some type of ice canopy. Ad kan yeshlach rishus l'daber. Up until these rakiyas that we've discussed, these are the ones that we have rishus to talk about, even though we don't have a clue of what we're talking about. Mikan ve'elach, above this, ein lach reshus l'daber. So you would call it maybe a glass ceiling or maybe an ice ceiling. Shechein kosov the Sefer Ben Sira, because it says in the Sefer of Ben Sira. Who was Ben Sira? So Ben Sira was a fellow. This is not. It's not a Sefer Kadosh. It's like a book of sayings that he writes. Let's see what he writes first, and then we'll talk about who he was. And this is what the Ramban. These are the same exact words that the Ramban uses in his Aktama when he's telling you, don't dig where you don't belong. Don't go if you don't understand. You'll get yourself into trouble. Something that's separated from you, meaning you don't understand it properly. You should not darshan. Rashi doesn't mean shalai ratzah kadosh baruch hu legalis lach. Hashem didn't want this to be uncovered to you, revealed to you. Al tachra b'masher horshis is by name. In what you have a shus to learn, you should learn. And one of my forms is a chiyuv to learn what you're allowed to learn. Ein lach ezek min stories. Don't go dribbling in the stories where you don't have any business doing. So Ben Sira, it's a shiloh who he was. There are those who say that he was the son of Yirmiyah Hanavi, and it could be Sira is the gematria of Yirmiyah. I'm not sure. I think material could be the gematria of Yirmiyah, and he became his mother conceived him be'ambati, which means somehow Yirmiyah Hanavi Zera was in a mikveh, and his mother was in that mikveh, and that's how she became pregnant. So you might call it the first occurrence of artificial insemination, and that's how Ben Sira was born. That's what the legends say, and he was a very profound fellow because he had some interesting sayings to say. So it's kedai for us to finish the sugya, to put the crown on the sugya, to learn what the Marsha says about learning these types of things that we can't really learn anyway because we don't understand what they're talking about. So let me find the Marsha on Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Hopefully I'll be able to find it. I didn't look it up in this print. Let's see if he says it over here. Let's see what he says it over here. I can't find where he says it, but he was very, very stark. He's very, very stark. Let me see if he says it over here. Oh, here it is. So it's a little bit weiter in today's Gemara, but I'm going to learn it over here. Mikan tshuva. From here you have a response. La'oisam anoshim, to those people. Shabador hazeh. So the Marsha is talking about in his times. There were also people, they also had the Kabbalah Center in his days. La'oisam anoshim shabador hazeh. Shemevalim or mavlim kol yemeyam b'chachmas hakabbalah. They waste their whole day away in the chachmas hakabbalah. Gam b'yoldusam, even when they're young and they should be learning Torah Sanigla. The ima chachma hi chachmas hakabbalah einay negeh b'ma'aseh merkava. If this chachma of chachmas hakabbalah is not negeh to the ma'aseh merkava, and the Marsha is saying this is because there was a discussion between people who knew chachmas hakabbalah and there are people who knew ma'aseh merkava. Lo yudana lehuzkar zu chachma b'shum makom. If this chachma is chachmas hakabbalah, which you're allowed to learn, and it's not negeh b'ma'aseh merkava, which we know you're not allowed to learn. So if it's something that you're supposed to learn, so how come we don't find it mentioned anywhere? So this Kabbalah that they're learning, that's obviously things that are not supposed to be learned. Because if it was supposed to be learned, it would be in the Gemara. With a Sefta, with a Mechilta, with a Safra, with a Safri, it's mentioned nowhere. This Chachmas HaKabbalah that people are learning are above Ma'aseh Merkava, meaning not where we belong. It should be hidden. It shouldn't be revealed. Oh, so I'm not sure if you're supposed to be moiche b'rabim, or if someone darshins these types of things b'rabim, then you got to be moiche gam b'soid Hashem. So I don't know what this means, but whatever it is, the Marsha says, you could read the words, but don't delve into it too deeply because it's above our heads. This is the Marsha talking. This is what Shaw's talking, where he probably would call it Terakula. He could say that he checked in the Gemara and the Mishnah, Safra, Freeway. He said check everywhere, and he didn't see any Kabbalah mentioned. So that should be our approach to Kabbalah. Zok more about the Tanya. Amar B'Yachim Zakai. Ma tshuva hishiftoi baskoil la'oisei Russia. What answer did the baskol give the Russia, meaning Nebuchadnezzar, b'shah she'amar, when he said in such gaiva, Ela al bomasei av adama la'elyon. I'm going to climb up on the heights to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight with the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what the arrogant Nebuchadnezzar said. So what did the Baskal say? Yotza Baskal Ramaloi, Russia ben Benoi shall Nimrod HaRusha. You're a Russia, the son of a Russia, the ain't called Nimrod HaRusha. And Rashi says, and Tosha says he wasn't really a blood relative to Nimrod HaRusha, but he took on Nimrod's characteristics. And interesting enough, is we do not know anymore who's Amalek, because Sancherov was mevalvel all the different nations of the world. But there are poskim who say Allah Lamaisa, that anyone who has the midos of Amalek, so any country who their charter says that we must destroy Yidden, that's Mizar Shal Amalek. If their motto is we must destroy Yidden, then they're Mizar Shal Amalek. So Nimrod definitely had this rebelliousness to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and Nebuchadnezzar took on his shita. Shehimrid kol ha'olam kuloi alav b'malchusai. Alav means referring to somebody else, but Avada, this is lashon shaginor, because it really means on the Rebbeinu Shalom. Kamash. So the Baskal says, let's think about it logically. You think that you're going to come here and fight with me? Okay, so let's make a calculation. Kamash noishav shalom. What is the typical lifespan of a man? Shivim Shana. And Tosha says, in fact, that Nebuchadnezzar lived much longer. But the Baskal was working with generalizations. Shenemar, Yemeshin Esenu Behem Shivim Shana, then the Gevurais Shemoinim Shana. So let's figure out how far. What? Yeah. Valoi. Let's think about this. Valoi mina art adler rakia. The distance from the earth to the first sky is Mahalach Chamesh Mei Shana. Takes 500 years to travel. The Michta Milio learns that this is all figuratively. In other words, to be able to be misboinen in even what that Rikia is, it would take 500 years of contemplation, of concentration. But there are those who learn that this is a distance. So it would take 500 years. Are these light years? Are these human years? I don't know. But it would take 500 years to get from the Oretz to the Rikia. Okay.
I don't think we ever have such a concept in the Gemara about light years.
Okay. Well, oivav shel Rikia, and what is the thickness of the Rikia? Again, mahalach chamesh me'ishana. So if someone holds cheshbon, we're holding it 1,000 years. The chen bein kol Rikia, there's another 500 years. So it's 7 times 10, because it's 5 in between each and 5 for each. So we're already at we're already at 8,000 years, right? We're already at 8,000 years. And then comes the Chayis HaKodesh. Raglei HaChayis, the legs of the Chayis, connected Kulam are 8,000 years. Karsulei HaChayis, connected Kulam, so now we're at 8 times, we're at 24,000 years. Shukei HaChayis, connected Kulam, we're now at 32,000 years. Rechuvei HaChayis, connected Kulam, we're at 40,000 years. Yarchei HaChayis. So instead of focusing on the count, because it's going to be a very high number, let me focus on the taich of these words. So Raglei Chayis connected Kulam. Karsulei Chayis. So the Raglei are just the feet. The Karsulei Chayis are the ankles, connected Kulam. Shukei Chayis are the shins, connected Kulam. Rechuvei Chayis are the thighs, connected Kulam. And Yarchei Chayis are the hips, connected Kulam. Then Gufei Chayis, then there's a torso, connected Kulam. Then there's Tzavora Chayis, connected Kulam. Then there's a neck. Rosh Chayis, the heads, connected Kulam. Karnei Chayis. Then comes their horns, connected Kulam. And then Lamai Lamayan, on top of the Chayis, is the Kisei HaKavod. Ragla Kisei HaKavod, connected Kulam. The Kisei HaKavod itself is connected Kulam. Oh, yeah, but I can't add that. I can't. I don't have a calculator. Ulamala Mahen, Melech, Kel, Chai, Vikayam, Ram, Venisa, Shoichin Aleim. So that's how long it's going to take you to get there. So now Nebuchadnezzar, you Russia, you little speck of dust, which you are. Va'ata Marta, Ella Abama Sayav, Adam Ella Elyoin, Adam I'll make myself equal to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You know what's going to happen to you? It's like I'm tief in the red. Ach El Sha'oil Turad, El Yarkis Bor. You're going to go down to the time underneath your caver. That's the only place you're going, buddy. You're not supposed to learn about Ma'aseh Merkava b'Yachid. Tanya Rabchia. Avol Moisrin Loi Rashi Prakim. You're allowed to give somebody certain hints, a certain Maramakaimis to look. Let me see if Rashi says, but Rashi Prakim are Rashi Parshi Yeshua. So you can give him a little bit of the Maramakaimis. Amar Abzera. Ein Moisrin Rashi Prakim. Ela Av Bezin, only to an Av Bezin. Ulachomi. Someone who's always nervous, meaning he realizes he has a virus and he always wants to do tshuva. He has to be both an avezin and someone who's libay doig b'kir. Omar Bami, ein motion sisrei Torah. You don't give over the sisrei Torah. Only to people who have these 5 attributes. I'm going to try to translate them if I remember them, but the Gemara is going to go through these attributes anyway tomorrow. Sar Chamishim, he has to have, I believe, at least 50 people underneath him. On the Supanim, he has to have people who respect him. The Yoyit, he has to give Eitzes, the Chacham Charashim. He has to be, I'm not sure what this means. The Novan and understanding. The Novan Lachash, and he understands secrets. So I don't know exactly what these things are, but we'll see in detail what they are in the later daf. Vamar Bami, Ein Moshe Divrei Torah Lo V'Tichav. You don't give divrei Torah to goyim. Shenemar le'osakain l'chol goy u'mishpatim bal yidom. Right, mishpatim bal yidom. You shouldn't be teaching goyim Torah. This could get very sticky because I don't know if people heard in the news this week there was a woman who was an aguna and she's fighting with her husband for a get and she's fighting with her husband over custody. And the Bezdin in Eretz Yisrael has full control over custody battles in Eretz Yisrael. And the husband said, "Guess what? I am not a Jew. I'm not Jewish." And this was a Russian immigrant or a Ukrainian immigrant, and they were boydik. His mother had moved from the Ukraine to Eretz Yisrael years before and claimed that she was Jewish, and the Bezdin accepted it. And after checking, they found out that her mother and her grandmother were not Jewish. So this guy wasn't Jewish. So he says, "No, I'm not subject to any of your halachas. I can go to secular court." So that was pretty tragic. But this guy has 2 brothers who are happily married in Eretz Yisrael to 2 Jewish women and have wonderful Jewish families. So Bezdin, the Batadim just realized that they have to check much more carefully into people who claim that they're Jewish. Like they didn't believe your aunt that she was Jewish when she moved to Eretz Yisrael. They made her prove for generations she was Jewish. Auntie Magda, she's under Prishal B'Shakil. I don't care. You have to prove you're Jewish, going back 2 generations. But so where's the sometimes it happens. I'm sorry. She had to prove. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, a man is easy, but I'm not sure how a woman does. But I'll call upon him. But I'll call upon him. I don't know how that works. But I'll call upon him. Sometimes there are schools because of mixed marriages that have non-Jewish children in the schools. So the shaila is, what do you do with that? But there's a long process about it because it's not so pashut that you're not allowed to teach Goyim Torah. The Zion mitzvahs b'nei Noach, the things that they're supposed to learn, you are allowed to teach them. There are those who say that you cannot teach them Torah Shabbat, but you could teach them Torah Shabbat Peh. So there's a whole bunch of shittas about what you are allowed to teach a Goy and what not. There are those who told you could teach the Goy orally, but not given svarim. So there's a lot of rate about what you are and what you're not allowed to teach. Why not?
Everything on YouTube.
I hear.
I'm not a people's view.
Let's go weiter. Amalei Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Lozer. Ta, come, Agmarach, I want to teach you Ma'aseh Merkava. Amalei Rabbi Yochanan told Rabbi Lozer, Loi kashoy, I'm not old enough. So Rabbi Yochanan didn't want, Rabbi Lozer, even though his rabbi wanted to teach him, he said, I'm not old enough. I don't want to. I'm not sure what old enough is because it's 50. So Sar Chamishim, I think that's what Sar Chamishim means. He has to be 50 years old. But we'll see when we learn to go more tomorrow. So Rabbi Lozer told Rabbi Yochanan, no thanks, but no thanks. I'm not old enough. I don't want. Kikosh, but a time Rabbi Elazar reached the age that he was old enough to learn Ma'aseh Merkava, noch nafshu Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan had passed away. Amar Rabbi Asi, so Rabbi Asi, who took over for Rabbi Yochanan, offered Rabbi Elazar Tov Agmar for Ma'aseh Merkava. Amar Rabbi Elazar said, no, thank you. Izakai, if I would have been Zeichel Gemirtim Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi, I could have learned it from Rabbi Yochanan your Rebbe. It's this here that the Marsha was commenting on, that you see, even Rabbi Elazar didn't want to learn Kabbalah, so we have no business learning Ma'aseh Merkava.
Yeah, but Rabbi Elazar is very popular with Rabbi Eliezer or Rabbi Elazar at the time of Rabbi Yosy considered himself higher than Rabbi Yosy. He was of the Elazar God.
But he didn't want to learn Ma'aseh Merkava. No, not when Rabbi Elazar, not when Rabbi Asi offered him.
Right, because we said Rabbi Asi, I know more.
But he claims he didn't know it. Right? Rabbi Yosef have a Gomer Ma'aseh Merkava. Rabbi Yosef knew the Ma'aseh Merkava. Sabi de Pumbedisa have a ton of Ma'aseh Bereshis. They knew Ma'aseh Bereshis. So Amrulay, they told him, let's make a deal. Ligmer Lon Mar Ma'aseh Merkava. Please teach us what you know that we don't, which is Ma'aseh Merkava. Amr Lahu, he told them, okay, Agmur and Li Ma'aseh Bereshis. You teach me Ma'aseh Bereshis. So what happened? Basar the Agmur, after they taught him Ma'aseh Bereshis, Amrulay, they told him, so it's payback time. Ligmer and Mar Ma'aseh Merkava. Amrulu, he said, Tanina Bahu, it says regarding the Ma'aseh Merkava, the Vash v'chalav tachas l'shoynech. The Ma'aseh Merkava is like honey and milk. The Barim Amasukin midvash v'chalav, things that are so sweet, you tachas l'shoynech. It shouldn't be out in the public. You got to keep them hidden. There are those who learn that, a little bit of honey is good. Too much honey is repulsive. Rabbi Vo Amar Mehalcha, he said, Kvashim l'lvushecha, the Barim shein kikev shoynech shel olam, things that are like the kettle of the world, the oven of the world, Yutachas Levusha should be kept close to your heart in your lapel. So this is very, very interesting because he made a deal with them and then he hoodwinked them and he didn't teach them Eschela. So I didn't find a teretz that makes me feel good, but what the something that I heard is that he's allowed to learn Ma'aseh Bereshis, but they're not allowed to learn Ma'aseh Merkava. But the way, what?
Simply realized that they did not have all the attributes required.
Oh, you mean so at first he thought maybe they were up to par. After they taught him Ma'aseh Bereshis, he realized that they're not there yet. I hear it. Get to what? Yeah. Amarlu, Amarle, Tanina Bahu, they told him, but we learned Ad Vayomer Elai Ben Adam. Now, Vayomer, there's two psukim that in Yecheskel that discuss the Ma'aseh Merkava. Let's see if we can read it. It says in the first parak, not two psukim, there's two prokim. Udumus al Rasha Achai Rakiak in the Kerech Hanor Not al Rashem Lamaila. That's the Yecheskel Aleph, and then it says, and then in Yecheskel Aleph it says, let's see if I can find it over here. It says Va'era Kein Chashmal B'Mar Age Va'is Lasaviv. It goes on and on, all these scary things. That's in Yecheskel Aleph, and then in Yecheskel Beis, let me see if he brings down the pasuk over here. In Yecheskel Beis, it says the pasuk that he quoted over here. So that's in Perak Beis. That's Tes. So let's see where Tes is. Ches Tes. Oh, that goes into Beis. Yeah, Beis Aleph. So it goes into the second parak. So basically, told him if you did all that already, if you learned all that. So you've done it already, so you don't need me to teach you anything anymore. Until where does Ma'aseh Merkava go? Because we just said now that Hainin Ma'aseh Merkava goes into the second kapitel, into the second parak, pasuk Aleph. But here we have a different opinion. Rabbi Omer ad be'era basra until the second be'era. Rabbi Omer ad chashmal. So the problem is those are in the previous psukim. It says be'era kein chashmal. Is there another Ve'era? No, that is no. There's only one Ve'era. So it goes up. It goes up until Ve'era Kein Chashmal. So all these is not part of the Ma'aseh Merkava. Yet earlier we just said that Yosef told them that it is from the Ma'aseh Merkava. So where is the Ma'aseh Merkava? Where does it go to? Zok Gemara. Yitzchak Ad Chashmal. Zok Gemara Ad Ve'era Megmarina. Up until the era you can teach, so it is Ma'aseh Merkava, but it's what you're allowed to teach. After that, Masrina and Russia Prakim, then you're only allowed to give over Russia Prakim. Ikadamri, even more severe. Ad Ve'era, you can't teach. You could only Masrina Russia Prakim. You can't Veilach. After that, then you can't tell him anything at all. In Muchacham you can figure it out on his own. In Eloi, but if he can't, then you don't help him. Eloi. Are you allowed to darshan in the pasuk of the word chashmal? Chashmal is like sparks. The darsh b'chashmal. There was a young person. I don't know if it means a child or just someone who wasn't old enough who was learning about the pasuk chashmal. You know what happened? When a fire came out of Shemaim, and killed him. So clearly you shouldn't be able to dash chashmal. It's very dangerous. So tomorrow, shiny and nuka lav matazimne. There's nothing wrong with learning chashmal if someone is royal. A young person had no business learning chashmal. Amar Yehuda, Baram Zochar Oisay Ishlatay. There's a person who we want to mention. He gets an honorable mention. The Chananya Bechizkiya Shemoy, and his name is Chananya Bechizkiya, because Al-Molayhu, if it wasn't for him, Nignas Sefer Yecheskel, the whole Navi Yecheskel would have had to be hidden. So you divorce Soshin Devertayr. There are some inconsistencies between how you bring the Eilish Meshchodesh in Yecheskel Sefer versus the psukim that we have. So he had to work hard to explain what the psukim meant. Otherwise, if it's a stira, we'd have to be going to it. Ma'asa, Allah Gilma Meis Garbe Shemin, Biyasha Balia. He sat into an attic with 300 barrels of oil, which he used for light, so that he'd be able to focus uninterrupted on learning and analyzing the psukim. B'darsha, and he dashed the psukim that they should be consistent with what we learned from Torah, and that saved Yecheskel that we could have. Taner Button. He was learning Sefer Yecheskel. He was understanding the deep meaning of Chashmal. And the fire came out of the Chashmal. I'm not exactly sure how that works. It burnt him up. And because of the danger posed by the Sefer Yecheskel, and because of that, they wanted to be going to the Sefer. They felt it was too dangerous. Hananya Bechizkiya told them, just because this little child was able to darshan, you think we need to worry that every little child's going to darshan it? An older person who darshans it is not a problem. The worry is a young person will. Don't worry about it. This is very rare that a young person will be able to reach such understanding. My chashmal. What does this chashmal mean? Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, chashmal means chayos eish memalos. Chayos, that they speak fire. They speak fire. So I'm not sure if it just translating it or if it's like a nutricon. Chashmal. Chayos eish memalos. Right, didn't say beferish that it's a nutricon, but it sounds like a nutricon. The Masnisatana, item chashay, sometimes the malach is quiet. Item malay, sometimes it's speaking. When they're going from speaking, they're quiet. That's what they're speaking. They're in and out. Their heads come up, their heads go down, like a flame. Vishuv, ratu vishuv, kamar habazak, like lightning. You can see it and you don't see it. My ratu vishuv, Omar Buda ka'or hayotzim mipi kivshan, like the fire that comes out of an oven. My kamar habazak, what does it mean, like lightning? Omar Buda ka'or hayotzim mipi acharasim. In an oven, Rashi says they would put broken pieces, broken shards to retain the heat, probably like our lava stones on our barbecues, and they would have even sometimes a piece of cheresh with holes in it on top, and the fire would come up from in between those things and then recede. So that's what it looked like. I'm not sure exactly what these things mean. But I saw there's a wild wind coming from the north, referring to Babel. Anan gadol, a great cloud, the eish mislakachas, and fire inside it. The noigalei savav, and it's lighting up everything around it. B'toicha, and inside it ke'ein hachashmal, b'toichesh, like a chashmal b'toichesh. So the question is not lahech hanazal, but the aleph, the bach tells us that it's where's it coming from? My boy Hassan, why was this Marav Shechina, so to speak? Why was it in Babel? Omar Bido Amarav. Shahalach lichvoish es kol ha'olam kuloi tachas Nebuchadnezzar Rosh. The Shechina went to assist Nebuchadnezzar in capturing the entire world. Why was it necessary for Nebuchadnezzar to capture the entire world? The kol kach lama The rule is whenever HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a nation power over Klal Yisrael, he first builds up that nation to become very powerful. Because if we're going to fall, if Klal Yisrael is going to fall into the hands of a nation, Hashem makes it that we fall into a great nation's hands. Not, can you imagine if Klal Yisrael Chasron fell into the hands of the Ethiopians? It's like bizarreness. How big of a loser do you have to be that Ethiopia takes you over? But if it's a big, powerful superpower, that's more bakovidik. So even in our tsaris, Hashem wants to protect our honor. Or maybe because it's the Chel Hashem, it shows the weakness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mi garam li shamish loiv tzilim. What caused that I had to go now and be a shamus to help build up Nebuchadnezzar in Russia? It's insane. So Yisrael hein garmuli. Because since they did Averis, I had to destroy them. Not destroy them, I had to punish them. So in order to punish them, I had to go now and be a shamus to Nebuchadnezzar to help him build up his empire. The Erachayos, meaning Oifen Echad Ba'aretz, there's one foot on the ground, not on the ground. Rashi is the ground of the Shemayim. Eitzel Achayos. Omar Belazar, Malach Echad. There's one Malach. Shu Aimid Ba'aretz, it's standing on the floor of wherever the Malachim are standing. And his head reaches up to the Chayis. What's the name of this Malach? Sandalfa in Shemoi. Hagavoya Mechavera, he's taller than the rest of the Malachim. Mahalech Chamesh Shemei Shan. V'Aimid Acher HaMerkava, he stands behind the Merkava of the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Kosher Ksarim L'Kainai, and he builds thrones for the Rebbeinu Shalom, and he's standing behind the Rebbeinu Shalom, built not thrones, crowns. He's building crowns as he's walking behind the chariot of the Rebbeinu Shalom. He's making crowns and giving it to the Rebbeinu Shalom, putting it on the Rebbeinu Shalom. And Tosfos tells us that what's the raw material that he's using? The raw material that he's using are tefillos and shal tzadikim. He takes the tefillos and shal tzadikim and he makes crowns for the Rebbeinu Shalom. You tell me that there's a malach that's so close to the Rebbeinu Shalom that could put crowns on him? Baksiv baruch kavod Hashem imekaymai means wherever HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, he should be gebenched. Michlal the mekaymai like the other, because even when the malachim say it, wherever the Rebbeinu Shalom is, he should be benched, but we have no idea where that place is. So to Gemara, you're right. This malach cannot put the crown on the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Amar Shema Taga, he just says the Shem Hashem on this crown. But also the separation, the crown goes by itself. It flies like a drone, and it flies to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Amar Rava, Kol Shara Yecheskel Ra Yeshaya. If you learn Yecheskel, it's very explicit in detail explaining the Ma'aser Merkava, like we just read those psukim. But Yeshaya saw all those same things. So how come Yeshaya didn't write about it as elaborately? Zok to Gemara, Lama Yecheskel Doima, Leven Kfar Shiras HaMelech. Someone from a village who never saw the richness and the royalty and the whole pomp and festivity of what goes around the king. So it was very exciting to him. So he ran home to tell everybody, wow, look what I saw. To Yeshaya Navi, it was second nature, it was common. He sees it every day, he's not tunas ball. It says, we say in the Shira every single day, Ashir Lashem ki goy ga. We're saying Shir to Hashem, who was Miskah, he became Gaividik over those who are Gaividik. Shira Lami Shemiskah Lagay. The Rebbeinu Shalom who's able to be superior even to those who think they're superior. Damar Mar, Melech Shebechayis Ari. The king of the animal kingdom is the lion. Melech Shebehema is the king of the domesticated animals, or Shor, the ox. Melech Shebaifa is the king of the birds, or Nasher, the eagle. The Adam is Miskah, and mankind is Miskah on all the animals. Because Baruch Hu Miskah Kulam. V'al Kulam Kulam. Because Baruch Hu is over all of us. So that's what Goy Go. Rebbeinu Shalom is over us, much greater than us, and we are on top of the whole world. Speaking about the Muslim, the faces that are on the Kisei HaKavod. So there's a Pnei Adam, the human face, Pnei Aryeh, the face of a lion, El Hayamin, Larbasam, the right side for the four pictures. Then Pnei Shar, May I smile arbas? There's an ox on the left side. Uchsiv arba panim le'echad. Pnei echad is pnei akruv. Upnei sheni pnei adam. Vashlish pnei aryeh. Vervi pnei nesher. Vilu shar like a chashiv. It doesn't mention a shar in this other rendition. Amar Shlakish, I'll tell you why. Because Yecheskel bikish olav rachamim v'hav chaylekruf. Yecheskel was mispelled that they should take the shar after Ma'aseh Merkava, because shar could remind Rebbeinu Shalom of the egel and change it to a crew. Amar lefanav Rebbeinu Shalom kateger yasas aneger. Let's not have a shar there. It's not good for us. My crew. What is the definition of a crew, which is on the kisei covered? Amar bavo kiravia, a little child. She came to Babel. Karin liyanuka Ravia. A little child is called a Ravia. Amar le Rapapa Labai. Aren't they the same? They're both human faces. So Hanu Pnei Gruv, Hanu Pnei Adam, aren't they both the same? Yes, they're two faces, two human faces. But one's the face of a more mature human, and one's the face of a little child, a human. One pasuk says, Sheish knafayim la'echad. Each one of these malachim had 6 wings. Because of Echad Omer, and another pasuk says, Va'arba panim la'achas, only 4 wings. Va'arba knafayim la'achas. And the Rishonim says, even though we're speaking about different types of malachim, one's Yecheskel, one's Yeshaya, it doesn't matter, because if a malach had 6 wings here, he should have 6 wings there. Zok to Gemara loy kasha. Kan bisman shebeis hamikdash kayim. When the Beis Hamikdash was kayim, the malachim had 6 wings. Kan bisman she'ein Beis Hamikdash kayim. And in Yecheskel, which you were saying the book, when the Beis Hamikdash is not kayim, the malach only have 4 wings. Kevayochol shnismatu kanfei hachayos. Kevayochol, like the Hashem's army, got weakened. Zok to Gemara haiminayu imit. Which one was missing? So it says in Yeshaya that there were 6 wings. It says v'shtayim yichasa fanov. 2 wings cover the malach's face. Shtayim yichasa raglav. 2 wings cover the malach's legs. V'shtayim yoifev, and 2 in the middle are the wings with which the malach flies. So the one wants to know haiminal imut. Which set of wings did the malach lose? Do the malachim lose after Churban Bayis? It's Oisin Shomer Shira Behem. It's the wings that they say shira with, which we will soon see are the ones that they fly with. So which means the 2 that they fly with, but their wings also are like instruments because they flap and makes noise. The car is Zel Zev Omar. It also says you literally saw them, they're not there anymore. So clearly there's a remez in the Psukim that those center wings, which with they flew and with which they sang Shira, those are the ones that went missing. And that's interesting because the Zohar says that the pasuk Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elolam Vod is Baruch Shem is referring to the 2 wings that are covering the Malach's face. The 2 middle wings are Kavod Malchusay, and the wings that cover the legs of the Malach are Elolam Vod. And that's why on Yom Tov Davening we say Gali Kavod Malchuscha Aleinu. We want the Malachim to get those 2 wings back because that means that Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to rebuild the base of the Mikdash. Rabbanan Amri, the Rabbanan say, Oisan Shemachasish Ben Raglayim. The ones that they went missing, the ones that they lose are the ones that they cover their legs with. Shenema V'Raglayim Regel Yishara. It says that they have a straight leg. If they're covered, how would the Navi have known that? Bilav the imit, if they're not missing, if the wings that normally cover them are not missing, we know have a yada. Zok Gemara, what do you mean? Dilma di Igloi B'Chashilah. Maybe they opened their wings for a second and then they closed them again. How do you know that they're missing wings? And I'll bring you a raya that that's pshat. He says that Dumus Panei and Panei Adam. There's 2 wings that cover the face. Hachanami, the imit, are you going to say that the 2 wings that cover the face are missing? Ela digloi v'chazilai. Hachanami digloi v'chazilai. They could have opened it up for a second. I understand how you could explain that the Malach opened up his wings to uncover his face for a minute. It's appropriate to show your face to the Rebbeinu Shalom, to your Rav. But carry your legs, no one's going to take your pants off momentarily. You might take off your mask momentarily. I mean, I don't know. Nowadays, it might be worse to take off your pants. It might be worse to take off your mask than take off your pants. But in normal times, it's worse to take off your pants than it is to take off your mask. Talking more about the Kruv Echad. Omer, one Kruv said, I'm sorry, Kosov Echad Omer, one pasuk says, Elef Alfin Yisham Shune, 1,000 times 1,000, which I think is a million. A million malachim are mishamish to Rabban Shalom. For Rabban Ravavin and 10,000 times 10,000, that's too many zeros for me. Kademoy, you couldn't stand in front of Rabban Shalom. But it's a very high number, but it's a number. Because of Echad Omer, the neshama should have an aliyah. We should say we should dedicate a learning Leilu Nishmas. What's your mother's name? The Dr. George, I forgot to mention that. Okay. Okay, so it says Hayesh Misper Lagdudov, there's no number to it. So is it a number, although a big number, or is there no number at all? There's no like Kasha, Kan Bisman Beis HaMikdash Kayim, Kan Bisman She'ein Beis HaMikdash Kayim. When the Beis HaMikdash is Kayim, it's unlimited. When the Mikdash is Charav, Kivayochol Shenismaita Pamal Yoshamayla. Tanya Rabbi Omer, Mishum Abba Yosef ben Desai. Elef Alfin Isham Shune. 1,000 times 1,000 will be Mishamish to Rabban Shalom. Mispar Gedud Echad, Ula Gedud Vein Mispar. So Rabbi says it's not shver because it says Ayesh Mispar Ula Gedud. What it's saying is that every Gedud, every battalion might have 1,000 times 1,000. But the pasuk that says Ein Mispar means there's no Mispar to the amount of battalions. So therefore it's not a stira. So you don't have to say that one's before the Beis HaMikdash is Charav, one's after. Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar Elaf Alfa Yisham Shunei. What does that mean? It's referring to the Nahar Dinner. There's 1,000 times 1,000 malachim that are going to be mishamish har dinner. Shenemar and har dinner. Nogad the Novak min Kamoy. It got up from Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Look, it got up. It came out of Nahar Dinner. What came out of Nahar Dinner? Elaf Alfa Yisham Shunei. For Rabbi Ron Kedemu Yekumen. So it came out of these malachim, these gedudim came out of Nahar Dinner. What is Nahar Dinner? Heichanofik. Where did this river come from? Where's the source of the water for this river that these malachim come out of? Mizei asan shel chayos. It comes from the sweat of the chayos of the malachim. And where does the water go to? Amar Reb Zutra bar Tovia Amarav al roish rishonim begehenim. It gets dumped on the heads of the rishonim begehenim. Shenemar hin yisaris Hashem chema yotza v'sar mischoil al roish rishonim yochol. Okay, let's stop here, and we'll be mamshech with this river of fire tomorrow. I forgot to mention today.